Welcome to Yoga Hour. My name is Cadre. Nice to see everybody. So today, the word I picked is journey. So I'm so fortunate, we're so fortunate to live in a place that has such beautiful weather, except for the summertime. In general, our weather is quite beautiful. We can get outside and explore the mountains, connect with nature. And this past year, I've done a lot of outdoor activities, one of which is cycling. And recently, I went on a long bike ride with my sister and my nephew. And typically, my nephew's quite strong, and he goes really quite fast. And I'm in the middle of my sister's behind. And we run a long bike ride, and my sister spotted some javelina sleeping in the bushes. And we stopped, and my nephew was too far ahead to get him. And it was like a clown car. It was one javelina, two javelina, three javelina. Next thing you know, there were 19 javelina coming out of this bush. And my sister had to temporarily abandon her bike as these javelina explored around the bike. And if you know anything about them, they're not typically shy, especially if there's little ones around. But it was really an experience. We were laughing, and what came to mind really was it's not the destination, but the journey that's so important. And I think of if we had just thought about going from point A to point B, all this stuff in the middle that we would have missed. So all this journey and the experience in the middle. I think a lot about that concept with yoga. Yoga is a lifelong practice. And it's not about the destination, but the journey and what we experience in that process. A lot of the asana that we do, sometimes we're so eager to get into the pose, and we forget that a large amount of the experience and the process of exploration is getting into it, working towards it, how we're feeling getting in there, how our body is feeling as we move. And yoga gives us the opportunity to explore ourselves all along the way while we are moving into and out of all these shapes. We just have to stay in that space, in that journey, and not focus on the destination so much. Staying in the moment, seeing what we can observe within ourselves, what we can experience, and not missing all that stuff just by focusing on the destination. Okay, so we'll start with our centering. So find your comfortable seat, wherever that may be. Rest your hands wherever is comfortable. And then close down your eyes. And lift your chest. Lift your chin out of your chest. Rise up from the base of your spine, so your sit bones, sacral area, all the way up to your chest, to the crown of your head. And then soften in your skin, so soften in this space, in this seat. And pay some attention to your breath. This centering allows us to fully transition from whatever we were doing, and making that transition onto our mat. It also gives us a moment to scan our body. So check in physically and observe. Observe how you're feeling physically today. Not to resolve it or fix it, just to observe it. Then check in mentally and see how you're feeling today. Again, just to observe, not to fix or resolve, but observe. And then return to observing and connecting with your breath. Take a few cleansing breaths. So smooth and steady inhalation. Smooth and steady exhalation. Relaxing into your seat. And full inhalation. And full exhalation. And we'll start class with one Om. Feel free to place your palms together at heart center. Gently rest your thumbs into your chest. Lift your chest. So Om is made up of the letters OM, or also seen as AUM, said to be a neutralizing sound. Feel free to join in or simply listen. Take a full breath in, big inhale, exhale out, and inhale once again. Bring your chin to your chest. Release your hands down, bring your chin out of your chest, and slowly open your eyes. Bring your hands out, or your arms out parallel to the floor. Then rotate, so it's an external rotation, so the front of your shoulder to the back of your shoulder, flipping your palms towards the ceiling. Keep the lift in your chest, and then full inhale as you bring your arms overhead. Maybe bring your palms together, maybe gaze up, and exhale, palms through center to heart center. Again, arms out, parallel to the floor, front of your shoulder to the back of your shoulder, palms towards the ceiling. Full breath in and palms together, gaze up. And as you exhale, bring palms through heart center. One more time, arms out to the side. Rotate palms up. Inhale, reach up, stretch up. And then exhale through heart center. And bring right hand outside of left knee, left hand behind you on the floor. First, lift and lengthen. So keeping your sit bones rooted down to your mat. Lift and lengthen, and then twist gently over to the left. So this is our first twist. Easy. Maybe you've been doing it all morning. So twist from your belly to your chest, and then maybe gaze over your left shoulder. Full breath in and out. And then come back through center, left hand just outside of right knee, right hand behind you. First, create the length in your spine, and then twist gently over to the right. So think belly towards upper right chest, and then you can gaze over your shoulder. And then come back through center. And then come into child's pose, or Balasana. The knees are outer hip width apart. Your big toes come to touch behind you, hips down and back towards your heels. And then walk your hands towards the front of your mat, bringing your torso and the forehead, tip of nose to your mat. Keep reaching forward with your hands, stretching the sides of your body, bringing your armpits away from your mat. Keep reaching hips down and back. Full inhalation, full exhalation. And then come up into tabletop position. So wrists are under shoulders, knees are under hips, tops of feet to the floor, and your feet are behind your knees. So if you look back between your knees, you can't see your toes curled in or curled out. They're tucked nicely in line with your knees and shins. Spread your fingers evenly, index fingers pointed straight ahead. Grip the mat with all 10 fingertips and press through the inner edges of your hands. Arms are straight. Take a full breath. So inhale, and as you exhale, round your back and come into cat pose, bringing your belly button towards your spine, chin towards your chest. In cat pose, pressing your hands down and apart from your knees, so down and forward, knees down and back. Tuck your tailbone under, rounding your back. And then inhale and reverse the movement, coming into cow pose. So your belly button comes towards your mat, sit bones towards the ceiling, chin out of chest. Keep pressing into the mat with all 10 fingertips and your shins, and squeezing your thighs in towards each other. And then cow pose, you drag your hands back towards your knees to get more engagement in your midsection. And then continue with your breath. So exhale, cat pose. And inhale, cow pose. Warming up the spine, the arms. Keep squeezing your legs towards each other. And forearms towards each other. You can also move a little bit side to side if that feels good. Warm up your body however you choose in this position. And then come to your neutral spine and walk your knees in just slightly. So your knees are not touching, but not hip width apart, just very slightly inward. Lift your left leg back behind you, parallel to the floor. Straighten your leg, point your toe, keep your kneecap pointed down. And then belly button towards your spine, so small cat action in the spine. And bring your right arm parallel to the floor, straight right arm, close fingers, point palm in. Reach forward with your hand and arm and extend back through your leg. Keep pressing into the mat with your left hand and right knee. Keep breathing. And then release, coming back to tabletop. And then extend your right leg back behind you. So straighten your right leg. Point your toe, keep your kneecap pointed down. Press into the mat with your right hand and left knee. And lift your right arm out in front. Keep your, I think I said right, I meant left. This one, left arm straight and point palm in, close fingers. Press in the mat with your right hand and left knee and round your back somewhat like cat pose. So belly button towards your spine, even rounding in your back. Keep stretching back with your right leg, forward with your left. And then come back to hands and knees. Again, widen your knees just about hip width apart. Walk your hands towards the front of your mat, about a handprint. Again, make sure your fingers are spread evenly. Your index fingers, which is your pointer finger, pointed straight ahead, parallel to one another. So hands are shoulder width apart. Press into the mat, gripping with all 10 fingertips, and even pressing more through the inner edge of your hand. We're gonna go into downward facing dog. Curl your toes under, keeping your knees bent for this down dog. You're gonna lift your hips up towards the ceiling, and then think thighs back behind you. So pressing down and forward with your hands. Arms are straight. Armpits up away from your mat, and then wrapping your outer shoulders in towards your ears. Relax your head and neck. Belly button towards your spine, and think ribs towards your thighs. So lower ribs towards your thighs. And then keeping all that, you can work your thighs back behind you, working your legs towards straight first. So sit bones towards the ceiling, thighs back behind you, legs towards straight, and then working your heels down towards the mat. Keep squeezing legs in towards each other, hands down and forward, feet down and back. Relax your head and neck. Maybe bending one knee at a time. And take a full inhalation and exhale out. And inhale, shift forward slightly, bend your knees and walk your feet to your hands to the front of your mat. And coming into a half forward fold or our Uttanasana. So hands, all 10 fingertips down to your mat. Straighten your legs or keep a small bend. Flat back, gaze slightly forward. And then exhale, forward fold into Uttanasana. So bend your knees. Keep all 10 fingertips again down to your mat. Your hands will press down and forward, feet down and back. Squeeze legs in towards each other. Round your back evenly. Inhale, lift and lengthen. So half forward fold. Bring your hands to your shins. Bend your knees. Gaze up. And then slowly come up to Tadasana. In Tadasana or mountain pose, feet can be about hip width apart, or you can also bring your feet all the way together. If your feet are together, just create a small gap between ankles and knees. Press down through all four corners of your feet. Tone your thighs, tighten your kneecaps, tuck tailbone down and under, tighten glutes, and then tone all across your belly. So not just your mid belly here, but your outer belly, lower belly, and then minimize the distance from your lower ribs to your hips. So you're not flaring your hips forward. From that, lift chest, stretch spine, gaze forward. And from here, we're going to go into a power pose, so Utkatasana. So root down, so legs are straight and strong. Lift your arms overhead, point your palms in, close your fingers. Stretch up, reach up, and then sit back into an imaginary chair. So sitting hips down and back, thighs towards parallel, keeping torso upright, arms in line with ears. Squeeze legs in towards each other. And breathe. From here, option, step your left leg back into high lunge. So the option from here is to always lower your back knee down. Anytime we're in any lunge position, lowering your back knee down is a good option. So high lunge, make sure your front shin is straight up and down. So knee is just above ankle, not beyond. Back leg straight and strong. Back heel vertical. Press your feet down and apart, and then squeeze them towards each other. So opposing movements, creating different engagements in your legs. From here, you're gonna pivot your back heel down, open across your chest, and come into warrior two. So warrior two, arms out, parallel to the floor. Again, make sure your knee is in line with your ankle and not beyond. And then check to make sure you can see your first 3 toes on your right foot. So right knee just slightly out to the right. Lift your chest. Keep shoulders over hips. Back foot pressing down into the mat. Back leg straight and strong. Take your tailbone under. Gaze over your right fingertips. Then slide your left hand down your back leg, not putting a lot of weight on that leg. Flip right palm towards ceiling and stretch up, reach up, and do a slight side bend to your left. So reverse warrior two. Keep sitting deep into that hip. Stay with me. And then come back to warrior two. And then you're gonna bring your left hand out in front as your back heel comes vertical and come back into your high lunge. And step forward and take a moment in Tadasana. Very good. Take a few breaths here. Okay, so check with your feet. Make sure you know where they are, whether they're about hip width or together. Again, if they're together, just slight distance, maybe a couple fingers between your ankles. But keep squeezing your legs in towards each other. So tone thighs, tone your glutes, engage all across your belly, lift your chest, lift arms overhead, point palms in, and then sit back and down into that imaginary chair. So Utkatasana, power pose. Squeeze legs in, tuck tailbone under, lift your chest, stretch your spine. And then step your right foot back into a lunge. So you're in high lunge position. Make sure your front knee is not beyond your ankle. So shin is straight up and down. Squeeze your feet down and apart and then towards each other. So that engages and squeezes your left inner thigh and your right hip in. Reach up. And from here, your back heel is going to pivot down. Open across to the right. And into warrior two. Virabhadrasana two. So arms are parallel. Gaze over your left fingertips. Feet, make sure your front heel is in line with the back center arch. Left knee slightly out to the left. Legs stretching down and apart. Tuck your tailbone down and under. Lift your chest, stretch your spine, and extend through your fingertips. And keep breathing. And sliding your right hand down your back leg, with your left palm to the ceiling, and then bring it up and across. Keep the depth in your lunge. Don't come out. We have a tendency to want to straighten that front leg and reverse warrior two. Keep your tailbone tucked under, lifting your chest, and then come back to Virabhadrasana two. From here, your right hand comes forward, back heel comes vertical, and you return to high lunge. Full breath in and exhale out, and come to Tadasana at the front of your mat. And take the breath. Inhale, reach up, Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees, all 10 fingertips down to your mat. And then step back into plank position, top of a push-up. Option here, always place your knees down. So knees up or down, your choice. Squeeze your hands towards each other and then drag them back towards your toes. Legs are straight and strong. Tailbone down and under, belly button towards your spine. Small rounding in your upper back. Gaze slightly forward. We won't be here too much longer, or you can come on down when you want. Option also to do 0 to 5 push-ups. Push-ups, knees on or off the ground, keeping your elbows in towards your side. Choose to do those, or come down to your belly and take a small rest. Bring your arms alongside your torso, palms facing up, bringing your chin to your mat. So one at a time, I always do this. I think I do this without even knowing it, but I lift my leg up and like add an extra inch and then put it back down. I lift and lengthen my legs back always. So feet, tops of feet on the floor, about hip width apart. Engage your legs so much that you're pressing your toes into the mat that your kneecaps lift off the mat. From here, lift your chin, lift your chest, and then shoulders towards your ears, and then towards your spine on your back. Lift your arms up, parallel to the floor, close your fingers, and then lift everything off the floor except for your hips. So straighten legs, kneecaps pointed down. Even lift the inner aspect of your thighs towards the ceiling. Lift up, stretch up, reach back with your hands, and then lower down. Rest the left side of your face on your mat. And then bring your chin back to your mat. You can repeat locust, just as we did, or option to add a bound, hands bound, binding hand. So if you choose to do that, I'll talk you through that. So interlace hands behind back, keeping elbows slightly bent. And then squeeze your elbows towards each other. And that's gonna open your shoulder more. Lift chest, press your feet into the mat, so much so your kneecaps lift up. And then stay working with elbows bent, or lift chest more and stretch your arms back. So straightening arms, reaching back towards your toes. And then maybe lift legs off your mat. Keep stretching back with your legs, back with your hands. This is a big shoulder opener, chest opener. Don't forget to breathe. And then lower down and rest the right side of your face to your mat. And then bring your chin back to your mat and prop yourself up onto your forearms. So either placing your forearms parallel to one another, like a Sphinx pose, or you can bring your palms together, your choice. We're gonna move them in a minute. So from here, bring your left hand or left forearm more in line with the short edge of your mat. Right hand comes out to the right. You're gonna lean onto your left side slightly. Bend your right knee. Try to keep your knees in towards the center. So keep them about hip width. We're just trying to avoid bringing the knee out to the side too much. From here, maybe grab your right foot. Inner edge is fine, ankle is fine, or you want to rotate your shoulder back, opening more in the shoulder, and grab the big toe edge of your foot. From here, we're not thinking heel towards hip, we're pulling back. So more chest opening, And then work your chest towards the front of your mat as best you can. Left toes pressing into the mat, keeping your kneecap up so that thigh is toned. Keep kicking back with your right foot. So right arm is straight, gaze forward. Don't collapse in the left shoulder. And then release, switch. So right forearm more or less parallel to the short edge of your mat. Lean slightly to your right with your left hand off to the left. Bend the left knee and maybe reach back, grab that foot. You can grab the ankle, pinky toe edge, or rotate so your thumb is pointed towards the ceiling and grab the inner edge of that foot. Keep knees squeezing in, left foot pressing into the mat, and then lift your chest, kick back with your left foot, opening in your chest, keeping chest more squared towards the front of your mat. Keep breathing. This is a big chest opener, small back bend. And then release that foot. And plant your hands beside your chest, keeping your elbows in. Stay on your knees, curl your toes under. You're gonna press up into tabletop position. And then have a seat. From here, have a seat on your bum and lie down on your back. Keep your knees bent. And take a moment. Just did a lot of back opening, stretching. Okay, two options. We're going to do leg lifts. So either grabbing the outside of your mat or wedging your palms facing down, wedging your hands just under the hips. Either way. And there's another option too. Lift legs up towards ceiling, point your toes, squeeze your legs in. Also, option to interlace your fingers behind your head, not your neck, and lift your chest. Lift your chin out of your chest to keep your gaze towards your toes. Squeeze your face with your forearms if your hands are behind your head. You can also work the knees back. And then lower your right leg to a hover. Keep reaching through your chest, trying to get both shoulders off your mat. Keep legs straight, squeeze your legs towards each other. Right leg up and lower your left leg down to a hover. Squeezing your thighs in towards each other. And then continue with your back breath. So right leg down to a hover, left leg down to a hover. And if your palms are down to your mat, press into the mat with all 10 fingers. And when you're done, as long as you've done both sides equally, you come on down, bend your knees, bringing your feet to the mat. And then bring your knees in towards your chest and place your hands just behind your thighs and then rock a little bit and come up to Tadasana at the front of your mat. Okay, come to the middle of your mat. Ooh, block. I always have a block handy. If you have one, that's great. If not, you can use whatever's around. Some people have used 2 water bottles. Those work too. But just place your block towards the front of your mat. So come to the middle of your mat. And place your hands just to your waist. Balance on your right foot. So make that right leg straight and strong. So tone thigh, tighten kneecap. Tone your glutes, abdomen, lift your chest. So come to the tippy toes of your left foot. Bring your palms together at heart center. From here, as you shift forward, so you're going to bend at your waist, bringing your torso towards parallel. So torso towards parallel, your left leg's going to shoot back behind you, extending back. So you're in warrior three. If your right leg is straight, make it strong. If you have a slight bend in that knee, that's fine. Keep squeezing your left inner thigh, right hip towards each other. So you're trying to keep your hips more or less level and extending back through your back toes, reaching forward with your chest. From here, place your right hand to your block or your mat or your water bottle. Left hand to your left hip. We're going to open across to the left, coming into half moon. So it's a rotation in the left hip. Keep extending back through that heel. Maybe bring your top arm towards the ceiling. Pressing down with your right hand, opening across your chest, reaching up with your left. And then coming back to your warrior three, and then come back to Tadasana. Very good. Adjust your block to the left. Balancing on your left leg, so making that left leg straight and strong. From the tippy toes of your right foot. Hands to your waist. So stretch up through your spine. Engage across your belly. Tone your glutes. And then bring your palms together at heart center. Bending at your waist, bringing your torso towards parallel. As you bring that towards parallel, maybe bring your back leg back behind you. So extending back, keeping your hips more squared or even with each other. If your standing leg is straight, make it strong. So tone the thigh, tone your glutes, squeezing your left hip and right inner thigh towards each other. Don't forget your breath. And place your left hand down to your block or your mat. And then twist open to the right. So this is a stacking of the hips or attempting to stack. So your right toes are going to point out towards the side edge of your mat. Wobble. So Ardha Chandrasana. Maybe lift your top arm open up towards the ceiling. And every side is different. Obviously, my left side is not as balanced today. Keep extending back through your back foot and reaching up, and widening across your collarbones, extending through your hands. And then come back momentarily to your warrior three, and then return to Tadasana. Okay. So from here, coming to the middle of your mat. Let's see. Just did this one. So we'll stand on our right leg. So there's different options. This is dancer pose. There's different versions where your torso is more parallel to the floor, or there's also a back bend version of it. We're going to do torso more parallel. So stand on your right leg. Make your right leg straight and strong. Bend your left knee, bringing your heel towards your bum. Squeeze your thighs in towards each other. And then option either grabbing the big toe edge of your foot. So if you do that, you're opening in your shoulder, similar to what we did earlier on our bellies. You can also grab your ankle or your toe edge. So any options. I'll go this way. So grab your foot, your ankle, squeeze your knees in towards each other. You want to avoid bringing your knee way out to the side. Keep your chest more towards the front of your mat. And then lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Point your palm in, straighten your arm. As you bend, you're going to bring your torso towards parallel and your back side towards parallel. Kick your foot back, so you're pulling your left shoulder open. Keep squeezing in towards the center. That seems hard. Taking back. And then come back into Tadasana. And take a breath. And grab a drink of water. And standing on your left leg, so making that leg straight and strong. Bend your right knee. Again, reach back, either grabbing your ankle, your pinky toe, or externally rotating the shoulder, grabbing the big toe edge of your foot. Keep your knees squeezing in towards each other, and keep your heel tracking with your knee. So if your knee is in, you certainly don't want your heel out to the side. You want it all in one line, as best you can. From here, lift your top arm, your left arm up towards the ceiling. Point palm in. So engage your glutes, engage across your belly, so belly button towards your spine. Lift your chest, and then start to lean forward, bringing your torso towards parallel, arm out in front. Kick back with your back foot, bringing your back thigh towards parallel. Keep squeezing your left hip, right inner thigh towards each other, reaching forward, kicking back, and breathe. And then come on back into Tadasana. Very good. Okay, come to the front of your mat. And inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Step your left leg back into a lunge, and then lower your back knee down. Walk your left hand out about a handprint to your left, maybe off your mat, right hand to your right thigh. Turn your right toes out about 90 degrees. So the big toe lines up with the corner of your mat. From here, press gently with your right hand and twist and open across your chest to the right. And then squeezing your right heel, left knee towards each other. Maybe sink your hips down and forward. Option to stay here or add a quad stretch by bending your back leg. Reach back, grab your foot, and bring your hips to your heel first. And keep that connection, and then sink hips down and forward. Open across your chest, maybe gaze up. Don't forget about your left shoulder. You don't want that dumping, your weight dumping into that shoulder. Open across, squeeze your shoulders together on your back. Twisted monkey. And release your back foot. Bring both hands down to your mat, surrounding your front foot. Curl your back toes under. Lift your knee. Step back into down dog. So sit bones up towards the ceiling, heels down and back, thighs back behind you. Take a full breath in and exhale out. And gaze between your hands, stepping your left foot forward, and then lower your back knee down. Walk your right hand off your mat to the right, even angling your index fingers slightly out to the right. So again, it's external rotation in your shoulder, so opening across your shoulder. Left toes towards the left corner of your mat, left hand to your left knee, and then gently twist open to the left. Squeezing your left heel and right knee towards each other. Maybe sink your hips down and forward. Keep pressing into your right hand, broadening across your chest, toning your glutes, keeping your belly muscles engaged. Maybe stay here or bend your right knee, grab your foot. First, bring your hip to your heel, and then maybe bring your hips down and forward. Squeezing shoulders together on your back. It's always weird when I'm looking away. No, can't see you. I know you're there. Then release that back foot. Plant your hands beside your front foot. Come back on the hands and knees and have a seat. So bring your feet out in front of you, legs straight. Flex your feet. So in this pose, a lot of the hamstring, I always have tight hamstrings, as you know, probably. I always have to keep my knees slightly bent. Place your hands just outside your hips. This is called Tadasana or staff pose. Lift your chest. Keep your feet flexed. If your legs are straight, press them into the mat. Tone your glutes. And then tone across your belly. So lower belly, mid belly, even your obliques. Lift your chest and create, or try not to flare your ribs forward. So minimize the space between your lower ribs and your hip bones. From here, bend your right knee in towards your chest. Bring your right heel as close as you can to the inner aspect of your left thigh. Both hands on your knee, lift your chest. And from here, maybe bring your right hand behind you. Wrap your left elbow around your right knee and twist slightly to the right. Option to stay working here, or you can bring your left elbow on the outside of your right knee and twist more. Make sure your twist is originating in your belly and then your chest. And then if you want, you can move slightly over to the right. And then come back to the center, extend that leg long. Back into Tadasana. Full inhale and exhale out. And bend your right knee, bringing that heel as close to the left, your left hip bone as you can. And then lift chest. Bring your left hand out behind you and wrap your right arm around your left knee. So lift and lengthen, create the space and length first, and then twist to the left. And make sure your right foot is flexed, right leg straight and strong, kneecap pointed up. Engage the muscles in your belly. Lift your chest, keep your chin out of your chest. And an option to stay here or bending your elbow, bringing your elbow on the outside of your left knee, maybe pointing your palm towards the left and twisting. And then come back to the center and lower that left leg down. Lie down on your back with your knees bent. So feet just in front of knees and feet all in one line, about hip width apart. Bring your right knee in towards your chest, and then open your right knee out to the right, placing your right ankle on your left thigh. And stay working here, it's a good stretch, or bring your left knee in towards your chest, interlace your hands behind your left thigh or your left shin. Keep both feet flexed, even pressing down through the inner edge of your right foot. So that keeps the engagement of all your shin muscles here. And the more these are working, the better they will to protect your knee, as well as keeping your knee in line with your ankle and shin. Needle's eye, Sukhi Dhamrasana. And then release your hands, bring both feet back down to your mat, keeping your feet in line with your hips, hip width distance. Lift your left knee in towards your chest and then rotate your left knee out to the side And allow that to happen on its own. Don't force it, because sometimes you will pull our ankle more than you need. And place your left ankle on the top of your right thigh. Stay working here, or bring your right knee in towards your chest. Interlace your hands behind your right thigh or your right shin. Keep both feet flexed, even pressing through the right and inner edge of your foot, of your left foot. Right, left, one of those. It's interesting on Zoom, it's whether you're mirrored or I'm mirrored, so it's very hard to tell anymore. So just as long as you're doing both sides, that's what's important. And then release your hands, bring both feet down to the mat. Place both hands on your thighs and press your thighs away, pressing your belly button towards your spine, spine to your mat. Gentle stretch here. And then bring your right knee in towards your chest. Interlace your hands behind your right thigh, and then straighten that leg up. So we're not trying to get our leg as close to our face. We're pressing our thigh away, and even dragging our hands down towards our sit bone. An option to straighten the left leg on the mat. Keep pressing thigh away from you so your arms are straight, back and shoulders and head on your mat. Maybe make small circles with your foot. Go to the left, go to the right. And then bend the left knee if it was straight. And we bend the right knee, bring your foot down to the mat. Bring your left knee in towards your chest and release your hands behind the left thigh. Straighten the left leg, pointing your toes up towards the ceiling. So thigh away from you, so arms are straight. The belly is still engaged, so toning your abdomen. Press your thigh away. Maybe straighten your right leg along your mat. Make small circles with your foot if you choose. And rebend the right knee. Left and back down to bring both knees in towards your chest, so out towards your chest and then towards your shoulders. So you're in reclined child's pose. So bring toes to touch. Maybe wrap your hands or your elbows around your knees, grabbing your hands. Maybe rocking side to side. And then release your hands, bring both feet down to your mat. Feet are hip width apart. Lift your hips up and guide them slightly over to the right. Bring your arms overhead and drop your knees over to the left. So there's two options. You can always stagger your knees. So that means your right foot will walk off your mat and your left heel comes towards the top of your right thigh. If you have your heel to your thigh, you can press your heel into your thigh, dragging it away from you. That just stretches more the right side of your body. Also, option, keep your knees stacked. If you have your knees stacked, try to keep your hips more in line with your chest. So you may have to adjust your hips on your mat and then drop your knees over to the side. I always prefer staggered. Personal choice. Either way, you're getting a good stretch to the right side of the body. And then come back through center. Lift your hips up and drop them over to the left side of your mat, dropping your knees over to the right. Maybe walk your left foot off your mat. Maybe bring your heel, your right heel to the top of your left thigh. If you had your hands clasped overhead, switch the clasp of your hand, gaze over to the left. Starting to slow down our breath, slow down the movements in our body. Back through center. One last time, recline child's pose. So knees towards your chest, towards your shoulders. Grabbing both knees, rocking side to side. And then stretch your legs long on your mat and come into our final pose, Shavasana. So allow your ankles to drop out to the sides, palms facing up. Close your eyes down. Relax all the muscles in your body. Relaxing the space between your eyebrows, your jaw, chest and shoulders, hips. Allowing your body to come into stillness and rest for a few moments and receive the benefits of your practice today. Deepen your breath. Bring some small movements and awareness back to your body. You wiggle your toes and your fingers. And then bending one knee at a time. When you're ready, roll to your right. Using the strength of your arms, return to a seated position. Keeping your eyes closed or soft gaze at the floor just in front of you. Place your palms together at heart center. And gently rest your thumbs into your chest and lift the brightness of your heart into your thumbs. So we'll seal fast with one Om. Feel free to join in or listen. Take a full breath in and exhale out. And inhale once again. your chin to your chest. Acknowledge yourself for showing up today. And in honor and respect to each one of you and this practice. Namaste. Thank you for practicing.